He was kicked out of the hero party for being too ugly and weak, but in reality, he's the strongest in the world. Now, he lives peacefully in the countryside and ends up attracting a bunch of gorgeous women who all want to marry him and would do anything for him. The story kicks off in the kingdom of Herseth, a place where healers are treated like top-tier celebrities because their skills help grow the kingdom. The most important place for healers is the Royal Hospital, where people train, learn new healing methods, and get their official licenses before starting their careers. A boy named Zenas is seen treating a man using magic, but it turns out that he never went through proper school training, so he doesn't have a license. After the man leaves, Zenas' assistant, Lily, reminds him that he has another patient to check on and tells him she'll have dinner waiting when he gets back. As Zenas heads out, he notices a young girl who's clearly in pain. A man named Forbes shows up and questions her about where she's been. She tells him her stomach hurts and she went to a hospital, but they turned her away because she didn't have any money. Forbes doesn't care at all. He reminds her she's just a slave. Then he drags her to a graveyard, tosses her to the ground, and a creepy black mist suddenly enters her body. Forbes coldly tells her he'll feed her if she finds something valuable. But just as he turns to leave, the girl suddenly lashes out with claw-like hands, slashing him and making him bleed. Terrified, Forbes runs away and bumps into Zenas, begging for help. He claims his slave went crazy and asks Zenas to deal with her. In return, he promises to pay him. The girl starts throwing rocks at Zenas, but he dodges every one of them like it's nothing, which impresses Forbes. He tells Zenas to kill her, but Zenas refuses, saying his job is to save people, not hurt them. Forbes warns that Zenas could die if he keeps talking like that, but he's stunned when Zenas smashes a massive rock with his bare hands. Zenas realizes the girl is faster than most humans, so he uses his magic to launch her into a house and tries to calm her down. When he gets closer, he notices something off. She's possessed by some kind of ghost. Using his magic again, he frees her from the spirit. Impressed, Forbes demands healing for his injuries, but Zenas says he's off the clock. Forbes doesn't care and throws him a bag of coins. Zenas tells him that's not enough and reveals he's actually an underground healer with no license. He says he'll take the girl instead of more money. Forbes agrees, so Zenas heals him and takes the girl. Back at home, a ghost named Carmilla appears, excited for the food. Lily tells her it's not ready yet. Then a woman named Sophia shows up, asking for Zenas. Lily explains he's out, so Sophia decides to wait. Soon, another girl named Linga comes in, and Sophia tells her to leave since she's already had her checkup today, but Linga stays anyway. Suddenly, an orc girl named Loie barges through the door. Man got more riz than his looks. Lily allows her to join them but tells her to fix the broken door first. Lily then asks if they all want to stay for dinner. Loie says that's the only reason she's here. The others agree and wait around. Lily heads off to do laundry, and while she's gone, Loie and Linga taste the food she was making. It tastes amazing, and they can't stop eating. Sophia warns them to stop, but even she gives in once she smells it. They all end up eating everything. When Lily returns, she asks what happened. Sophia admits they couldn't resist because the food was just that good. Then the girls start bickering about who Zenas likes most, but Lily tells them to stop because he wouldn't like them fighting. She says it'd be nice if they could all enjoy dinner peacefully. Feeling guilty, the girls offer to help cook again, but Lily says there are no ingredients left. Carmilla overhears and gets mad at them for eating everything. Lily tells the girls to go buy more ingredients, and they quickly run out to do it. She wonders if she'll finish dinner in time before Zenas gets back. Meanwhile, the slave girl wakes up in a bed and is confused about what's going on. Zenas tells her that he bought her and then tells her to remove her clothes so he can check her condition. She's hesitant, but when she does, he sees what's causing her pain and heals her instantly. She's amazed by how powerful he is, but he brushes it off, saying he's nothing special. She thanks him and introduces herself as Till. Zenas says she needs to pay him back by helping out, and she agrees to do anything. He tells her to find some herbs, and when she returns with him, he tells her she's repaid her debt. Till is surprised, thinking picking a few leaves wasn't enough. But Zenas explains that what she did is equal in value to what he did for her, then tears up her slave contract. Now free, Till doesn't know what she wants to do with her life, but promises to tell Zenas once she figures it out. He says she can always ask for help if she needs healing, though he reminds her it won't be free. Later, Zenas gets home, and Lily says dinner isn't ready yet. The girls return with ingredients, and Carmilla teases him about meeting a new girl. Lily is just glad they have what they need and starts preparing tea for everyone. The story flashes back to when Zenas was in an adventuring group. The team leader, Aston, gives him a gold coin, telling him it's the only one he'll ever earn. He insults Zenas, saying he's useless and they're kicking him out. Zenas reminds them that they invited him in the first place, but they just laugh. Aston says they're too popular now and need to impress nobles, so someone like Zenas can't be part of the team. He warns Zenas to never tell anyone he was ever part of their group. Meanwhile, back in the present, a shady guy tries to kidnap Lily. She kicks him and tries to run, but he shoots her in the leg with an arrow. As she falls, he tries to grab her again, but she bites him. Furious, he stabs her. Zenas arrives and demands to know what's happening, but the men say Lily belongs to them. Zenas gives them the gold coin Aston gave him in exchange for Lily. She thinks she's about to die, but Zenas heals her immediately. She wonders if he's some famous healer, but he admits he doesn't even have a license. She feels bad he spent money to save her, but he tells her not to worry. When he asks if she has a home, Lily says no. So Zenas takes her to a restaurant to get food and clothes. While they eat, she notices he isn't eating anything, and he says he's not hungry, but the truth is, he doesn't have money for himself. That's when a man named Zand shows up, badly hurt. Zenas heals him on the spot, and Zand is so surprised that he gives Zenas some money as a thank you. That's when Zenas gets the idea to open his own clinic. Lily offers to help, but Zenas says it's illegal since he doesn't have a license and doesn't want to drag her into trouble. But she insists after all, he bought her, so she belongs with him. Seeing how determined she is, he agrees to let her stay until he finds a safe place for her. After that, Zenas and Lily made their way to an old, crumbling house far from the city. Lily looked around nervously and asked why he picked such a sketchy location. Zenas explained that opening a clinic inside the city was impossible without a legal license, so this was the best he could do. Still uneasy, Lily hesitated at the doorway. She'd heard stories about wraiths, supernatural spirits that could kill humans just by touching them, and she was scared they might be real. Zenas stepped inside to inspect the place and decided it was actually perfect for a secret clinic. Right then, a ghostly figure, Carmilla, suddenly appeared in front of them, making Lily scream in fear. She rushed at them aggressively, but Zenas calmly cast a spell that pushed her back. He told her he had fought and defeated hundreds of wraiths before, and had no problem handling her too. Then he apologized to her for disturbing her home and promised that if she let him use part of the house to help people, he wouldn't cause her any trouble. Carmilla didn't like that idea and tried to attack again, but she couldn't get anywhere near him. She was stunned by how powerful he was. Angry, she summoned a bunch of ghost minions to scare him off, but Zenas wiped them out in seconds. Carmilla asked who he was, and he casually replied that he was just an unlicensed healer looking to use one of the bedrooms for his clinic. Impressed and outmatched, she told him he could use the first floor. After that, Zenas and Lily started cleaning the place and setting it up. Lily offered to help promote the clinic, but Zenas told her that advertising would just attract attention from the Royal Medical Institute, which could get them shut down. Lily was worried that without letting people know, they'd never get patients. But then someone knocked. Zand showed up. Zenas had been expecting him. Zand had injuries from a magical gun, and those kinds of wounds couldn't be treated at normal hospitals. Zand brought his sister, Sophia, who showed a serious wound. Zenas could immediately tell it was from a toxic magical weapon. Sophia nervously asked if he could heal her, but Zenas said the safest way to stop the poison was to amputate her arm before it spread through her whole body. He said the surgery would cost 1,000,000 coins. Shocked, Sophia asked him to reconsider the price. Zenas realized she was well known, one of the leaders of the lizard folk in the slums. She made a name for herself stealing from corrupt merchants and giving the money back to her people. She asked why she should pay him so much. Zenas calmly explained that he wouldn't just cut off her arm, he'd regenerate a new one for her using advanced healing magic. That type of healing was incredibly rare and risky, and he had been taken advantage of too many times before. So now, no matter who the person was, he charged fairly based on the effort involved. Sophia didn't understand how it was even possible to regrow a limb. Most healers couldn't do that. Zenas was surprised she'd never heard of it. He got to work, carefully slicing off her arm with a scalpel, and then cast his regeneration magic to create a new one. Sophia was blown away by the result, and even Zand was stunned when he noticed Carmilla's ghostly head peeking through the ceiling. Zenas told him not to worry, she wasn't causing trouble anymore. After the procedure, Lily made tea. Zenas noticed 3 cups and asked who the third was for. Lily casually replied, "It's for Carmilla." She was feeling good because business had started picking up, especially from the lizard folk. But Lily was curious why so many of them were getting hurt. Zenas explained that the slums were split between 3 rival gangs who were constantly fighting. It was chaos every day. Right then, another visitor barged in. A woman named Linga arrived and introduced herself as the leader of the Wolf Beast Skint gang. Zenas told her the clinic was closed, but if someone was seriously injured, he'd still help. Linga grinned and said that actually, He was the one who was about to get hurt. She had figured out that Sophia's group kept recovering no matter how badly she beat them, and now she knew Zenas was the reason. She swung an axe at him, but it broke instantly against his magic shield. She ordered her gang to attack, but their weapons were useless. Fed up, she shouted for them to just destroy the place. That's when Carmilla suddenly showed up, furious and ready to wipe them out. Zenas calmly stepped in, telling her not to hurt anyone because this place was for healing, not fighting. Linga was stunned that the ghost listened to him. She assumed he must be her master, and immediately apologized, along with her entire gang. Zenas tried to explain that wasn't true, but they didn't understand him. They didn't even speak human language. The next day, an orc visited the clinic. Zenas wasn't surprised. He had already helped the lizard folk and the werewolf gang, so it made sense that the orcs would show up too. Zenas asked if the orc's boss, Loey, was someone reasonable. The orc said she was wise and respectful, and Zenas hoped she wouldn't be like the others. He also thought about how Sophia kept sending him expensive gifts, and how Linga had started building an actual palace right next door to try to make up for attacking him. He hoped Loey wouldn't try anything crazy too. When he asked why Loey didn't come herself, the orc explained that she couldn't move. Zenas decided to go see her personally. When he met her, she said she already knew about him. He was well known in the slums. Loey asked why she was unable to get up. Zenas scanned her with magic and found the problem. A mana stone was lodged in her stomach. If she moved, it would explode. Zenas asked if someone had poisoned her, but she explained she accidentally ate it, thinking it was a rice ball. Zenas said the stone would pass naturally, but she told him there wasn't enough time. The real reason she was upset wasn't for herself, it was because her boyfriend refused to leave her side and was prepared to die with her. She handed Zenas the key to all their wealth, saying she heard he helped kids for free and believed he was a good man. Instead of taking her treasure, Zenas calmly opened her stomach with his scalpel and removed the stone. Loey warned that it was going to blow, but Zenas contained the blast in his hand. She was speechless. If he hadn't saved her, he could have taken all her riches, but he only wanted payment for the work he did. She told him she admired him and offered security for his clinic, but he politely declined, asking them to stay out of trouble. Later, Zenas noticed Lily looking sad. She admitted she was feeling left out because all the other girls kept showing up at the clinic even when they weren't hurt. Zenas didn't understand why and assumed they were just bored. But Carmilla gave it to him straight. They're totally into you, and they'd probably start a war over it. Lily felt insecure, thinking she wasn't as beautiful as the others. Carmilla told her that all girls in love shine in their own way. Zenas was convinced they wouldn't really fight until it happened. All three girls showed up and told him straight up they were going to war over who gets to be with him. Zenas and Lily arrived just as the battle was about to begin, and instead of stopping them, Zenas told them to fight as much as they wanted. The girls were thrilled to get his approval. Sophia said whoever won would claim him as the prize, and everyone agreed. The brawl started immediately. Sophia slashed at Linga, who dodged. Loey charged but missed and crashed into everyone else. The fight raged on all day, with all three gangs going at it. But no matter how much damage they took, no one stayed down. That's when Zenas admitted he'd been healing them the whole time. He said they could keep fighting, but he expected to be paid for his services. They finally realized the fight was pointless since no one could win, so they called off the war. Lily asked Zenas why he let them go that far. He repeated what his mentor once told him. A healer who just treats wounds is average. One who fully cures someone is better. But the best healers are the ones who make the world a better place. Zenas said he wanted to improve life in the slums. But Lily saw through him. She teased that if everyone started getting along, there'd be fewer people getting hurt and fewer patients for him to treat. Then she confessed her feelings for him. Zenas said he liked her too, but Lily knew he didn't really understand what she meant. She asked if he was really planning to charge the girls for all that healing. Zenas just smiled and said, yeah, it wasn't easy keeping them all alive. Meanwhile, in a different part of the kingdom, a serious-looking girl named Krishna meets with her division commander. He brings up a rumor that the three major demi-human gangs in the slums have stopped fighting. Krishna's skeptical those gangs have been at each other's throats for years, and she doubts anything could have changed that. But her commander thinks they can't brush it off. If it's true, it could be dangerous. He explains how the kingdom works. The rich take out their stress on the poor, and the poor vent their frustration by fighting among themselves. That chaotic balance keeps things in check. But if the poor band together and stop fighting, they could become a serious threat to the upper class. Krishna still doesn't buy it, but he adds that there's talk of someone in the slums who acted as a peacemaker, someone strong enough to bring all the leaders together. Krishna finds that even harder to believe. Getting one gang to cooperate is hard enough, let alone three. But the commander orders her to check it out and find whoever made this peace happen. Back at the hidden clinic, Zenas suddenly sneezes. Lo and Linga, who are nearby, instantly offer their bodies to warm him up. Lily, flustered by their boldness, runs off to make tea, clearly jealous. Zenas continues healing Sophia, who tells him she got injured while pulling off one of her usual jobs, stealing from powerful targets. But this time, she ended up clashing with the Royal Knights, who were watching her closely. Zenas wonders if Sophia and her brother Zan both got hurt in fights with the Knights. They explain that a woman named Krishna was the one who hit Zan with a magic-powered gun. Camilla, listening nearby, warns that things could get messy if someone like Krishna starts snooping around their clinic. Zenas thinks the Knights probably don't care about a small-time unlicensed healer like him. Lily asks Zenas what he wants for lunch, but before he can answer, the other girls jump in and list their requests, leaving him no chance to speak. While they eat, Camilla says she's going to take a nap, but before she goes, she reminds Zenas that he's the only one in the entire capital strong enough to keep the gang leaders under control. Meanwhile, Krishna finally arrives in the slums and is stunned by what she sees: different races, who were once enemies, now peacefully living side by side. She stops a lizard man and asks why they're not fighting, but he won't tell her anything. When he turns to walk away, Krishna suddenly pulls out her gun. That's when he sees Sophia passing by and shouts for help. As soon as Krishna spots Sophia, she retreats. But she's shocked to notice that Sophia's arm, which she personally damaged, looks perfectly fine. As she tries to get away, Krishna gets lost and accidentally ends up at Zenas' clinic. There, she asks for directions, but the moment she sees Lily, she suddenly pulls her gun and shoots Zenas with a smoke round. Krishna explains that while she's currently focused on a big case, she's also been looking into child kidnappings and she suspects Zenas is involved. Lily quickly jumps in, defending him and telling her that Zenas is the one who saved her life. Krishna realizes she might have made a mistake and apologizes. She assumes the effects of her smoke bullet will leave Zenas unconscious for a while, but to her shock, he gets up completely unharmed. He explains that he used defensive magic. Krishna doesn't buy it; her gun is too strong for a regular shield. She starts suspecting he might be some elite sorcerer who spent years perfecting barrier spells. Zenas says that's not the case, but she insists no one can fool the sharp eyes of the Royal Knights Vice Commander. That's when everyone finally realizes who she is. Zenas puts up a signal to prevent anyone else from entering the clinic. Krishna, without holding back, tells him she's on a mission to capture someone but wonders if she's saying too much. She says she needs his cooperation, so she has to be honest. Zenas reminds her that he never agreed to help, but Krishna argues that every citizen is legally obligated to assist the Knights. She reveals she's looking for the mysterious mediator who stopped the war between the gangs. Zenas is surprised. Krishna adds that no one in the slums would talk to her. She believes this mediator is some master manipulator, probably a dangerous criminal who controls others from the shadows. Zenas says maybe the person is just laying low. Krishna asks if he knows who it is. Zenas plays it off as a gut feeling. Krishna says the kingdom sees this mediator as a threat, but Lily says that person only wants to stop people from getting hurt. Krishna notices Lily's words and suspects she knows who the mediator really is. Zenas politely suggests she should continue her mission elsewhere, but Krishna sees the clinic has an extra bed and decides to crash there for the night. Lily brings her some tea, but Krishna burns her mouth on the first sip. To make her presence known, Lily sits in Zenas' lap and asks him to pat her head. Camilla, invisible as usual, whispers to Zenas that Lily is acting this way out of jealousy, trying to show Krishna how close she is to him. Lily keeps trying to make Krishna jealous, but Krishna doesn't seem to care at all. Frustrated, Lily pulls out her final trick, something Camilla taught her. She grabs Zenas' face and boldly says he's not allowed to sleep tonight. But right after saying that, she instantly falls asleep on his lap. Later, Krishna curiously asks Zenas if a master healer is really capable of regenerating a full limb. She's doubtful, thinking only saints or legendary healers can do something like that. Zenas wonders why she's bringing it up. She admits she's the one who destroyed Sophia's arm, and now it's like nothing ever happened. Zenas asks her why she's so against the people in the slums. Krishna opens up. Her mother used to come to the slums daily to give food to the needy. But one day, someone murdered her over a wedding ring and no one helped. That tragedy shaped Krishna's life. She joined the Royal Knights to deliver justice to criminals and protect others. She's the youngest vice commander in their history, known as the Iron Rose. Everyone says it's because of her strict, determined nature, but she thinks it's because she hasn't smiled once since her mom died. After she leaves the clinic, Camilla tells Zenas not to let Krishna's past get to him. She says her story isn't that rare; she's seen far worse in her 300 years. Zenas takes down the signal flag he had put up to keep people away. Soon after, Sophia shows up to get treated. But Krishna returns unexpectedly. The moment they see each other, They both draw their weapons. Lily explains that Sophia only came here by accident after getting lost. Krishna demands to know how her arm healed so perfectly. She starts to suspect that the mediator is the one responsible and accuses him of gathering criminals to threaten the city. Sophia speaks up and says evil people exist everywhere, even among nobles. She drops a bombshell. The real mastermind behind the human trafficking ring is a noble named Calendar. Krishna refuses to believe it. Calendar is known for helping orphan kids. Sophia says Krishna is too quick to judge based on surface appearances. The mediator, on the other hand, doesn't care what people look like. He helps everyone. In fact, she says he'd even heal Krishna if she needed it. Zenas then steps forward and reveals the truth. He's the mediator she's been looking for. Krishna doesn't believe him. She argues that Zenas is just a defense-type spell user and can't possibly be a top-tier healer. He tries to convince her he's telling the truth, but she refuses to accept it. In her eyes, he's already sided with the slum dwellers. Without another word, Krishna leaves the clinic to set up a new base and to keep searching for the person she still doesn't realize is standing right in front of her. After that, Krishna went to visit a noble named Calendar, claiming she needed to inspect his manor because of a thief group operating in the area. She said it was for his own safety. Calendar smiled and let her in, giving her a tour of the estate. As she walked through the place, Krishna started to feel like she was just wasting time. Nothing seemed suspicious. Eventually, she asked to use the bathroom, but instead of going straight there, she kept looking around. Something didn't feel right. There were way too many guards for someone of Calendar's rank. While exploring further, she noticed an old well outside. Curious, she went to check it out, and what she found horrified her. A group of children was trapped inside, held against their will. Krishna called out to them and promised to save them, introducing herself as a royal knight. But before she could do anything, Calendar shot her from behind. Wounded and in pain, Krishna realized too late that she had walked into a trap. Calendar walked up, aiming to finish her off. He told her she should have minded her own business. Just as he was about to shoot again, Zenas and Sophia suddenly showed up. Calendar recognized Sophia and figured that if he killed her, no one would care. But instead of aiming at her, he quickly shot Zenas. Dust and smoke filled the air as Calendar laughed, thinking Zenas was dead. But as the air cleared, he was stunned. Zenas was completely fine, protected by a magic shield. Calendar panicked and fired again and again, but nothing got through. Then, as he tried to pull out a second weapon, he dropped it and stumbled. Zenas calmly picked it up and pointed it at him. Begging for his life, Calendar tried to apologize to Krishna. But Zenas told him that if he really wanted to apologize, he should be saying sorry to the children he locked up. Then Zenas shot him. Krishna gasped, wondering if he was dead, but Zenas explained that the limiter on the gun was still active, so Calendar would live. Krishna, bleeding out, told Zenas it was too late for her. He needed to report everything to the royal knights. But instead of leaving her to die, Zenas healed her. Not only that, he regenerated her arm. Now truly convinced, Krishna realized that Zenas really was the mysterious mediator she had been hunting for. In her eyes, he seemed like the perfect hero. But Zenas just laughed it off, saying no one's perfect. He told her that, to the children she saved, she was still a hero. Those words hit her hard. Krishna thought back to her mother, who used to visit the slums to feed hungry kids. Her death had always made Krishna angry, but now she realized her mom had been truly happy helping people. Krishna broke down in tears, realizing that even though her mother wasn't flawless, she had still been a hero. Once the kids were safe, Zenas and Sophia decided to leave before the knights arrived. But Krishna stopped Zenas and asked him why he saved her. He smirked and said it was because she still hadn't paid for using his bed, and now that he healed her too, he was adding that to her bill. She couldn't help but laugh. We then flashed back to when Zenas first met Aston. He was just a street kid back then, and Aston had found him on the roadside. He invited Zenas to join his adventuring party. Zenas doubted himself. He thought someone from the slums could never become a real adventurer. But Aston didn't care about status. He asked Zenas if he had any skills. Zenas quietly said he knew healing magic. Aston didn't believe him, but he took him in anyway, not out of kindness, but because he wanted someone to use. Later, we saw Aston fight a giant wolf. Zenas secretly healed him during the battle, giving him enough strength to finish it off with his sword. But even then, Aston saw no value in Zenas and kicked him out. After firing him, Aston and the others went on a new job for a noble named Fennel. They planned to wrap it up quickly and return to drinking. During the mission, they ran into a group of magical beasts. Aston told one of the mages, Guile, to use defense magic while he charged in. But it didn't go well. One beast burned his arm, and another nearly ate one of their teammates. Aston called on Anders to use attack spells, but the guy froze in fear. Nothing was working. They had no choice but to retreat. Aston got mad at everyone for struggling against what he called rank B monsters. But Anders called him out he hadn't done much either. Gao wondered if Zenas had actually been healing them all along. Aston denied it, but even he wasn't fully sure. With no choice, they hired a new healer, a girl named Yumin. She was confused why such a famous team needed her help. They explained things had gotten messy since Zenas left. She checked their injured teammate and said he'd survive but couldn't be an adventurer anymore. Aston didn't care. If he's weak, we don't need him, he said coldly. Later, when they returned to the cave, fireballs flew at them the moment they stepped in. Anders got hit. Ian warned he could die without proper treatment. Gile defended himself, saying he had barriers up, but Yumin said it wasn't enough, he needed a hospital. Everyone started realizing that things had only gotten worse since Zenas left. Eventually, a messenger from Fennel delivered a letter to Aston, telling him not to show his face again. Because of Aston's failure, Fennel couldn't deliver the gift he promised his daughter. Aston tried to blame Zenas, but he had never officially registered Zenas as a party member. He begged for another chance and promised to bring in new members, even mentioning bringing Zenas back. Gao thought it was a terrible idea, but Aston had a plan. He would go to the 3 slum leaders and ask for help. He went to Sophia first, but she just laughed. You kicked him out, and now you want him back? She told him to leave. Zenas had better things to do. Aston, humiliated, moved on to Linga and Loey. They gave him the same response. Loey warned that if he bothered Zenas again, the orcs would come after him. Aston thought maybe they were talking about a different person, but then he saw Zenas walking with Lily. Shocked, he stopped them. Zenas was surprised to see him but said he was busy and tried to walk away. Aston quickly said he came to bring him back into the party. Zenas refused. He said if Aston needed help, he'd consider doing one quest, but he'd charge for it. Aston snapped. Don't act so high and mighty. You're still just a slum rat. But to his shock, people from the street started approaching Zenas, thanking him, complimenting him, calling him their savior. Aston reminded Zenas how he took him in, gave him a chance. But Zenas didn't care anymore. He turned around and left. Outraged, Aston tried to attack him from behind, but before he could do anything, Krishna showed up and shot him in the leg. Zenas turned around, surprised. Why are you here? Krishna said she was trying to find him but got lost. She decided to arrest Aston, but he blamed Guile and ran off. Later at the clinic, Zenas met with the others. They told him about Aston's visit. They had even sent people to spy on him, but Aston disappeared. Lily guessed he might have gone home, but Sophia thought he probably went to the underground guild, where shady jobs are handed out for the right price. Carmilla pointed out that Aston was probably broke if he came crawling back to Zenas. But Sophia mentioned a mysterious figure called the Guide, someone who takes jobs under certain conditions, even without pay. That night, Lily saw Zenas still awake. She quietly made him tea and sat beside him, gently patting his head, thanking him for always looking out for her. After she fell asleep, Camilla asked Zenas if he was still thinking about Aston. She smiled and called him kind for caring. Then she asked how someone from the slums learned such advanced healing. Zenas finally opened up. He revealed that it all started when he tried something forbidden, reviving a corpse. Camilla was shocked. That kind of necromancy was banned. She told him that back when she was alive, people used sorcery to make golems soulless workers that didn't feel pain and would serve endlessly. Suddenly, the ground started to rumble beneath everyone's feet. Camilla sensed something wasn't right and rushed outside to check. Her eyes widened in shock. A massive golem was marching through the slums, destroying everything in its path. From a distance, a shadowy figure known only as the Guide was watching calmly. The golem was his creation, built on behalf of someone who wanted Zenas gone. But for the Guide, this was more than just a job, it was a perfect field test for his newest weapon. Zenas and Camilla hurried to the chaos, and soon the 3 slum leaders Sophia, Loey, and Linga joined them. They were furious, saying the golem had already injured their people. Nobody knew what the creature was, so Zenas explained, it was a golem, an artificial being, something only possible through ancient magic that had been lost for centuries. Zenas asked if anyone had seen where it came from. Loey said one of her orc scouts saw it emerging from deeper in the slums. That raised red flags, maybe it was connected to the underground guild. But this wasn't the time to overthink. Zenas told everyone to help him gather the injured in one place. Watching from afar, the Guide evaluated his creation. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough to test Zenas. He was curious to see how the healer would react when the people closest to him were in danger. Zenas worked nonstop, healing everyone he could. But deep down, he was frustrated. He was doing all this for free, and he hadn't seen Lily since the attack began. The Guide watched, impressed by Zenas' healing talent, but he knew it wouldn't matter unless they could stop the golem. Once everyone was stabilized, Zenas hoped the golem might just leave. But Camilla told him it wouldn't stop, it was following an order, and until that order was complete, it would keep going. What really worried her was the golem's power source. Its core was made of an extremely rare, high-purity magic stone. That type of stone only existed in the southernmost continent where the Demon Lord's castle had once stood. Camilla said those stones were thought to be extinct after the last Great War. Plus, the black magic used to craft golems was supposedly lost. Zenas knew they didn't have time to figure out who was behind it. They had to stop it now. The leaders offered to fight alongside him, and Zenas asked Camilla how to kill it. She told them the only way to destroy a golem was to destroy the magic stone at its core. Zenas formed a quick plan. The others would attack while he stayed back and supported them with healing. The group charged in. They hit the golem's legs hard, managing to knock it down, but the moment it hit the ground, it regenerated. The golem retaliated, sending Linga flying through a row of buildings. Thankfully, Zenas healed her mid-air, and she landed safely. Zenas reminded himself to stay close, his magic weakened with distance. He also remembered he couldn't cast multiple types of spells at once, so he had to carefully balance healing and support. As the fight dragged on, Zenas came up with a new strategy. He told everyone to go for the legs again. As they moved in, a child suddenly ran into the danger zone and the golem avoided crushing her. Camilla noticed this and froze. A golem wasn't supposed to have that kind of self-awareness. Zenas quickly scanned it and made a discovery. The magic stone was located in the left side of its chest. Even more shocking, Aston was inside it. Elsewhere, the guide smiled, revealing his twisted logic. He had used Aston as the core, combining a human body with a magic stone to bring the golem to life. Aston had been full of hatred and regret. He was the perfect host. The guide was eager to see how Zenas would handle it, knowing that the only way to stop the golem was to kill Aston. Zenas told the others to fall back, but they insisted on fighting. Still, Zenas knew this was something only he could handle. His teacher once told him healers didn't belong on the front lines, but this time, he had no choice. As the others retreated, Zenas thought it was strange that someone as selfish as Aston had just saved a kid. He remembered something Gao once said, that Aston became obsessed with power and wealth because his sister had died. He couldn't afford medicine back then, and he blamed himself. Maybe that's why he saw Zenas' pain and related to it. The golem charged, and Zenas summoned a massive scalpel. With one swift strike, he chopped off its arm and sliced open its chest, exposing Aston. Looking at him, Zenas said this would be their final meeting, then slashed. But instead of killing him, Zenas did something no one expected. He cut out the magic stone while healing Aston at the same time. The guide was stunned. After all the damage, after healing hundreds of people, after supporting his allies in battle, Zenas still had the strength to save Aston. Aston, now free and barely conscious, asked why Zenas would save him. Zenas explained that he needed answers, like who ordered the attack, and he planned to charge them for all the work he'd done. But more than anything, he was doing his job. He was a healer. Saving people was what he did. Zenas destroyed the magic stone. Aston, now powerless, sat in silence and admitted he felt sick because only now did he understand how incredible Zenas was. Their party had only succeeded because of Zenas. He asked if this was some twisted revenge, saving his life so he could suffer in regret. Zenas simply said, "You're not worth thinking that far ahead." Aston apologized for everything. Zenas helped him to his feet and said, "Good, now I can punch you properly." Then he launched a magic-powered punch that sent Aston flying. Later, Aston woke up in chains. Krishna had arrested him. She told him Zenas explained everything. Oh, and Zenas had taken his sword as payment for the damage caused. Aston realized he'd lost everything, but Krishna handed him a single gold coin. "Zenas left this for you," she said. "But he said he's not working with you again." The moment she walked away, Aston remembered the day he kicked Zenas out of the party. Now, full of regret, he finally understood what a mistake that had been. Meanwhile, Zenas returned to the clinic, completely exhausted. The others saw how drained he looked and offered to help him get home. Despite telling them to rest, they refused to leave his side. Back at the house, Camilla made a joke, saying she was disappointed Zenas didn't die. She was hoping to get the place to herself again. But Lily exposed her, saying Camilla had been floating nervously around the house the entire time. Camilla blushed and told her to stop talking. Lily admitted she'd been scared too, but she knew Zenas would come back. As he stepped inside, she smiled and said, "Welcome home." Krishna arrived to report that the Royal Knights investigated the attack. The one responsible? The guide. Zenas narrowed his eyes. He wasn't about to forget that name. Sophia said she did some digging too. The guide worked alone and had recently joined the Underground Guild. Krishna added that he'd erased all traces of his movements. The leaders assumed he'd strike again. but Krishna told them to stop making guesses. Of course, that sparked another argument. Zenas sighed, kicked them all out, and reminded them, no fighting in his clinic. Later, Lily noticed how tired Zenas still looked. She was just about to invite him to the hot springs to relax when Sophia suddenly burst through the door and asked him first. Zenas agreed, and Sophia grinned, excited. Then one by one, the other girls showed up, all asking him to come with them too. In the end, Zenas gave up and agreed to go with all of them. As they left, he turned to Lily and asked what she wanted to say earlier. She just smiled and told him to forget it. Camilla watched from the side, laughing. She said it was fun watching the girls fight over him, and since she hadn't been to a hot spring in forever, she decided to join them too. Zenas was enjoying a quiet moment in the men's hot spring, but then Sophia suddenly walked in. She told him not to worry. She put a sign outside saying the bath was being cleaned, so no one else would come in. She sat down next to him and said she was surprised how well everyone was getting along. She even told Zenas that maybe he could change the world one day. Zenas noticed she was moving closer and asked what she was doing. Sophia admitted she was talking just to distract him, and then tried to grab him. But before anything happened, Linga suddenly barged in and jumped at Zenas too. Sophia stopped her, and the two started fighting over him right there in the water. Then Loie rose up from under the water. She said she had been waiting for Zenas all along and joined in on the fight. Suddenly, Krishna appeared too. She told the girls they weren't supposed to be in the men's bath. But they all knew she had feelings for Zenas too, so they started teasing her and ganged up on her. Zenas finally lost his patience. He shouted at all of them, saying he just wanted to relax, and told them all to go back to their own bath. Meanwhile, Yuman was sitting in the women's bath. She was surprised to see such a strange group of girls relaxing together. Loie started showing off her body and bragging about her curves. Lily looked down and quietly said she wasn't confident. She had a flat chest and always felt bad about it. But seeing that Yuman was the same made her feel better. Camilla told her that having a small chest wasn't a bad thing. She even joked that Zenas might actually like smaller chests. Yuman then noticed Camilla looked see-through. She asked why. Camilla casually said, because I'm a ghost. Yuman freaked out. She tried to exorcise Camilla right away, but Camilla screamed and flew off to escape. Yuman looked around again. The other girls were just calmly soaking in the bath. She started wondering if she had imagined it. Later that evening, everyone had dinner together. But Zenas noticed Krishna wasn't sitting with the group. She told him she didn't want to be seen with demi-humans since she was a royal knight. After dinner, everyone went to bed, and Zenas sat down and talked with Camilla. He told her he didn't enjoy the food much because the girls got too drunk and wild. He then asked how she was able to be outside in the sunlight. Camilla explained that she had possessed Lily's staff. She said she could do that because she was connected to it. Zenas asked her if the staff belonged to her when she was alive, but Camilla said she didn't remember. That made Zenas realize she didn't like talking about her past. The next morning, there was a loud explosion in the building. Yuman ran to the kitchen and saw that the chef's arm had been badly burned. She used her healing magic to stop the bleeding but said that her magic could only do first aid. She thought his arm would never work again. Zenas then walked in and checked on the chef. Yuman said he should go to the royal hospital because they had advanced healing magic. But Zenas said it wasn't needed. Lily asked what happened, and Zenas said it was just a kitchen fire. Then Zenas said he really enjoyed the food from last night, so he'd heal the chef for free. He used his magic, and the chef's arm fully healed like it had never been hurt. Yuman was shocked. She couldn't believe he had that kind of power. Later, Yuman reported everything to her boss, a man named Becker. She told him exactly what Zenas looked like. After hearing it, Becker decided to find him. He figured Zenas must be from the slums since he didn't have any official healer registration. Becker showed up at Zenas' clinic pretending to be sick. A demi-human who was already there said Becker looked really bad. Zenas checked his chest and realized Becker had symptoms of red lung disease, a deadly illness from the past that had been wiped out long ago. Zenas told everyone to stay back because the disease was highly contagious. But he was confused. Red lung shouldn't even exist anymore, there was already a cure for it. Becker smiled and told Zenas the truth. He had taken a drug that gave him fake symptoms just so he could meet Zenas. Yuman confirmed it. She said Becker had invented cures for many diseases, including red lung. That's why he was given the special title of lead healer at the royal hospital. Becker looked at Zenas' coat and asked where he got it. Zenas said it belonged to his master, but he didn't know their name. Becker then invited Zenas to work at the royal hospital. He said they needed his help for a special case. But before Zenas could answer, the girls showed up. They had seen the red flag that Camilla put outside and thought something bad had happened. They told Becker to leave Zenas alone. Becker changed his approach. He said Zenas could treat it like a paid job. Zenas agreed to help. Sophia asked why he said yes. Zenas explained that the Royal Hospital once gave away the red lung cure for free in the slums. That saved a lot of people, so they couldn't be all bad. He also said he needed their support. Zenas then asked Becker if he knew anything about his master. Becker said he'd tell Zenas everything once he helped with the job. Then he welcomed him to the Royal Hospital. Zenas reached the hospital, and Becker took him to his office. He explained that people had been going missing, and they needed Zenas to help investigate. To protect him, Becker gave him a fake identity. Zenas would act like a healer returning from overseas. With Becker backing him, no one would ask questions. Later, Zenas went to his dorm room and was surprised to find Lily there. Yuman explained that Lily was registered as his family and allowed to stay. Lily said she was his wife, but Yuman corrected her she was listed as his sister in the papers. Zenas was just happy she didn't have to stay behind. After Yuman left, Lily tried to flirt. She asked Zenas if he wanted her, but he told her she was supposed to act like his sister. He asked who taught her to say things like that. Camilla proudly admitted it was her. Zenas warned Camilla that ghosts weren't allowed in the Royal Hospital. If the others found out, they could try to get rid of her. But Camilla wasn't afraid. She said none of the healers here were stronger than Zenas. Later, Zenas and Yuman sat down to eat. Zenas asked how students become licensed healers. Yuman explained that first they have to study for a few years. Then they take an exam. If they pass, they get their license. After that, they can work, and if they do well, they can take another test to increase their healer rank. Zenas asked her about the missing people. Yuman told him about a senior named Freed. He was the deputy head of the lab and helped Becker create the red lung cure. Zenas wanted to find him and asked if she had any clues. But just then, a man named Professor Goldran appeared. Yuman whispered that Goldran was a Class 7 healer, which was just one step below elite. He was also the vice director of the Royal Hospital. She explained that there are 7 classes for healers, and Goldran was at the top. Since the hospital's director was too old to work, Goldran had the most authority now. She also said Goldran didn't care about poor people. He told everyone to focus only on rich patients. She believed he was using the hospital to gain political power. She also told Zenas that many believed Goldran only got his rank because of support from nobles, not because of skill. Zenas said he wanted to stay away from him. But Yuman said he couldn't. She revealed that Freed had been sent to Goldran's lab for training. But after a month, Freed disappeared. Zenas asked how he could get close to Goldran. Yuman said the only way was to stand out in class. If he showed off his skills, Goldran would eventually contact him. But Zenas said he didn't think he was anything special. Yuman was surprised. She realized Zenas didn't understand how gifted he really was. Then, a boy named Cress walked in. He saw Zenas and said, "Don't embarrass your sponsors." Yuman said Cress was in her class and got arrogant after being picked by Goldran's group. Later that night, Zenas remembered his past. In a flashback, he tried to bring someone back from the dead, but his master stopped him. His master told him that healing magic should only be used on the living. Zenas trained with a girl named Veritra. Their master told them not to get cocky. Healing wounds just made you a third-rate healer. He said second-rate healers could fully restore someone, but the best ones, the first-rate healers, could make the world a better place. Back in the present, Zenas was sitting in class during a lecture about undead creatures. While the professor spoke, Zenas was already familiar with the topic. He had fought the undead back when he was an adventurer. The professor asked if anyone had questions. One student asked about wraiths. The professor explained that wraiths are the strongest type of undead, but most healers know very little about them. That's because they're extremely rare, and almost every group that faced one got wiped out. He warned the class that if they ever saw a wraith, they should run. He said the ones that can talk are especially dangerous. Zenas was confused, since Camilla could talk just fine and she's a wraith. Then the professor asked if anyone had fought undead before. Cress proudly bragged that he had defeated 30 ghosts, and the students were impressed. Cress then looked at Zenas and asked if he had ever fought ghosts too. Zenas could have said he wiped out 50 at once, but he just casually said he could beat 30 of them at the same time. Everyone looked at him like he was joking. The professor asked him to explain, so Zenas said he used his healing spell to destroy the ghosts inside the underground labyrinth. The professor couldn't believe it. The underground labyrinth was known to be extremely dangerous, so dangerous that even gold-ranked adventurer groups avoided it. Cress said Zenas was clearly lying and told him to stop making things up. The next professor started a new lesson about magic circles. He asked each student to come up and draw one on the blackboard. Cress drew his best one, and the professor was impressed. Then he asked to see Zenas. Zenas didn't know much about magic circles, but he remembered his master once showed him one. So he drew that on the board. Cress said he was just making it up, but the professor looked closely and realized it was actually a super advanced regeneration circle. Zenas explained that it could grow back lost limbs. The professor was shocked. He said a circle that strong would need a huge amount of magic power, and no normal healer could activate it. But right then, Zenas activated it on the spot. He said it wasn't that useful to him anyway, he didn't need it to regrow body parts. Somewhere else in the hospital, Goldrin's assistant reported that Zenas had claimed he could defeat 30 ghosts at once. Another staff member came in with news that undead creatures were gathering at the graveyard. Goldran decided this was a great chance to test Zenas and see if his claims were real. A group of students, including Zenas, went to the graveyard to deal with the ghosts. They tried using their healing magic to exorcise the spirits, but they got surrounded. Zenas stepped forward and used a powerful healing spell that wiped out all the ghosts at once. Human was shocked that he really defeated all of them so easily. But Cress stepped in, pretending he was the one who did it. He told everyone to report his success to the teachers. He started walking away with the others when a giant zombie king suddenly appeared. Everyone looked at Cress and told him to deal with it since he claimed he was so strong. He panicked, begging for help. Human and Zenas refused to help him. He told the others to run while he held the monster back. He tried using his strongest magic on the zombie king, but it did nothing. The monster kept attacking, and he could barely dodge. Human explained to Zenas that the other ghosts probably gathered because of the zombie king. She said powerful undead naturally attract weaker ones. Zenas noticed that Cress was in real danger. Human told him not to help, Cress deserved it. But Zenas could tell Human was secretly worried about him since she never left. The monster grabbed Cress and was about to eat him. He started crying and begging for help. So Zenas used his mega heal spell and destroyed the zombie king instantly. Cress, still shaking, asked why they saved him. Human reminded him that he had begged for help. Zenas thought back to what she said earlier and suddenly realized something: the undead weren't gathering because of the zombie king. They were gathering because of Camilla. When he got home, he told Camilla about it. He said the undead were drawn to her. She asked if he wanted her to leave. But Zenas said it was safer to keep her close. Her presence affected the area, so it was better if she stayed with him. She called him a weirdo for wanting to live with a wraith. The next day, Goldrin's secretary praised Cress for supposedly defeating the undead. He said the other students were amazed by his power. He also said Zenas didn't live up to expectations. But Cress felt guilty. He admitted to the secretary that Zenas was actually the one who beat the undead. Later, Becker spoke to Zenas and told him that Goldran wanted to interview him. He said Goldran doesn't normally meet with just anyone. He had strong political power and support in the Royal Hospital. Zenas was confused. Becker was an elite healer, so why didn't he have the same authority? Becker explained that his title came from developing medicine, not from political connections. Zenas went to meet Goldran. Goldran said that healers have a lot of power, they shape the country's history, but it's the nobles who benefit the most. He said he wanted Zenas to join his side so they could grow stronger together. He explained that not all lives were equal and nobles deserved better treatment in hospitals. He asked Zenas to show him his magic circle. Zenas drew it on paper, and Goldran studied it. He was impressed. The design looked advanced, so he invited Zenas to join his research lab. The next day, Zenas joined Goldrin's escort team. They walked through the hospital together. Cress told Zenas that he was the one who recommended him for the lab. Zenas asked why. Cress said he wanted to use Zenas to climb higher. He explained that Goldran was visiting patients to look good in front of everyone. He wanted to impress nobles during the upcoming election for hospital director. The current director, Shelber, was getting ready to retire, and Goldran wanted to take his place. As they walked, Zenas ran ahead to see a patient with a twisted ankle. Goldran saw it was a sprain and used magic from 3 students at once to heal the man. Zenas went back to Cress and asked what spell they used. Cress said it was called Health Transfer Magic. It takes energy from people nearby and uses it to heal someone else. That's why Goldran always had a big group with him to share the magic cost. But he also said Goldran was doing it for the election, not just to help people. If he looked like a hero now, nobles would vote for him later. Zenas asked about Fried, the healer who went missing. Cress said Fried disappeared after Goldran invited him to dinner. He said Goldran only invited his favorite people to those dinners and they always got special treatment and big opportunities later. After that, Zenas went to see Becker. Becker said they needed more proof. He told Zenas to become one of Goldrin's favorites, so he could get invited to dinner and find out what really happened to Fried. Becker said he'd pay Zenas extra if he pulled it off. Zenas also asked if Becker could tell him more about his master. Becker said he would, but only after Zenas helped. Suddenly, some coins fell to the floor. Becker looked at Zenas and asked, "Which one would you pick up first?" He wanted to see if Zenas believed all lives were equal. Before Zenas could answer, Yuman walked in. Becker said he had a meeting and had to go, but reminded Zenas that he was counting on him. Meanwhile, back at Zenas' clinic, Linga quietly snuck inside. But Sophia caught her. She realized Linga came to clean the place. A moment later, Loie barged in, also saying she came to help clean. So, the three girls, all there for the same reason, ended up cleaning the clinic together. Back at the hospital, Cress introduced Zenas to Goldran's pet, a little creature named Milk. Cress said he was now responsible for taking care of her. He also mentioned that Goldran had a meeting coming up with 7 nobles. Cress hoped that if he worked hard and helped Goldran enough, he might one day become part of that noble group too. Zenas started to realize that Cress wasn't just focused on healing, he was trying to move up in the ranks. Zenas thought healers were supposed to care about treating people, not about status and money. But Cress explained that magic alone isn't enough to fix everything. In his view, power and money mattered more in the long run. While they were talking, a drunk man named Bon walked by. He noticed Cress taking care of Milk again and made fun of him. Bon didn't like the pet at all and told Cress he was wasting his time trying to win over Goldran. Zenas asked who Bon was. Cress told him that Bon was actually Goldran's first secretary, but he barely did any work and didn't deserve the position. Suddenly, Bon tossed a ball, and it almost hit Milk. She panicked and ran off. Cress chased after her, but then she got hit by a carriage. Cress used his strongest healing spell, but it didn't work and he started to panic, thinking he was doomed because he couldn't save Goldran's favorite pet. Zenas stepped in and used a basic healing spell. Cress didn't expect much, it didn't look strong enough, but to his surprise, Milk was completely healed. Zenas said her bones were back to normal and she'd be fine, though she should still rest for a while. Later on, Zenas met Yuman, and she asked him to go on a walk with her. They ended up walking in the forest. She apologized to him, saying she felt bad for getting him involved in all this. She said she felt guilty because she wasn't talented enough to be picked by Goldran, so Zenas got dragged into everything instead. But Zenas told her it was okay. Becker was paying him for his help, and he was glad he got the chance to enter the hospital. He said he wanted to learn more about his master, the one who taught him everything, and he felt like he owed him. Yuman shared that she also owed Becker. He was her mentor, but he had gone through a lot. His girlfriend had left him because he was always too focused on research. Now Yuman was looking after him. Zenas asked what their relationship was, and she told him Becker was actually her uncle. She said she wasn't very talented like him and mainly researched how to store medicine. She thought her work was boring. Zenas agreed with her but added that sometimes the most boring things were actually the most important. Yuman smiled and said he was a pretty interesting person. Then Camilla's voice suddenly echoed from nowhere. She teased Zenas, saying he had found a new girlfriend. Yuman was confused, but Zenas told her to just ignore it. That night, as they were heading back to the hospital, Cress ran up to them in a panic. He begged them for help. Goldran had a meeting with Lord Fennel, who had asked him to treat his daughter. She had a strange rash on her face that had gotten worse over the past few days. Goldran told Fennel that it was a condition called odd-face disease. Fennel asked if Goldran could heal her. Goldran knew the disease wasn't deadly, but it would require surgery to fix, and that surgery might leave a scar. He thought if he could gather enough people to use health transfer magic, he could heal her without surgery. But the girl didn't want anyone to see her face, so Goldran could only bring 2 assistants with him. Trying to relax before the operation, Goldran went to spend time with Milk, but Bon told him she had been run over by a carriage. Goldran got upset and asked if Bon was the one behind it, but Bon told him Cress had already healed her. Goldran checked on Milk and was shocked. She didn't just survive, she didn't even have a single scar. She was in perfect shape. Meanwhile, Cress told Zenas he was the one chosen to heal Fennel's daughter. But he was panicking. Zenas asked why he didn't just cut the rash off. Cress said the infection went deep into her skin, and surgery would leave a huge scar. If he messed up, he'd be finished. Yuman wondered why he was given such a tough job. She thought it might be punishment for taking credit from someone else. But Cress said that wasn't true, he had already told the secretary that Zenas was the one who healed Milk. Lily brought them tea, and Cress found her cute. But Lily quickly said she already belonged to Zenas. Later, Goldran arrived at Lord Fennel's mansion and asked why he was called. Fennel said his daughter was too embarrassed to leave her room because she was afraid of having a scar on her face. He asked Goldran to talk to her and tried to convince her. They went to her room, and Fennel told her to let Goldran treat her. Goldran explained that the disease couldn't be fixed without surgery. But the girl didn't trust him, she thought someone had sent him to ruin her face. Cress tried to step up. He thought he could win her over with his charm and introduced himself as Goldrun's assistant. But she looked down on him, saying someone like him had no right to talk to her. He was crushed. Now it was Zenith's turn. But instead of begging her to accept treatment, he calmly said it was okay if she didn't want it. The disease wouldn't kill her. At worst, she'd just end up looking like an old granny in a month. That caught her attention. She didn't want to be ugly. Goldrun confirmed that Zenith was telling the truth. The condition would quickly get worse and ruin her appearance if left untreated. Surgery was the only option. But the girl still didn't want to go through with it. She walked away. Zenith followed her and noticed she had pet birds. One of them had an injured wing. She told him she found it in the garden and didn't think it would ever fly again. She said the bird was just like her, trapped and unable to leave the house anymore. Zenith asked if she wanted to get better. She told him to stop talking to her and asked who he thought he was. He simply said, "You're my patient." Suddenly, the injured bird started flying again. She stared in surprise. Zenith told her he didn't care about who she was or how important her family was. His job was to help people who were hurt, and she was one of them. He said if the bird could heal and fly again, then she could still be healed too. He asked her again, "Do you want to get better?" This time, she started to feel hope. Charlotte finally agreed to go through with the surgery. They used a special sleeping medicine made by Becker to knock her out. Lord Fennel asked them to take good care of her. Goldrun still believed Cress was the one who healed Milk earlier, so he chose Cress to do the surgery. But Zenith noticed that Cress's hands were shaking. It was clear he was nervous. Zenith knew the operation would be hard. Goldrun told Cress to focus and wait until the roots of the odd-faced disease fully appeared. Zenith scanned Charlotte's body using his healing magic and showed Cress exactly where the roots were growing. He promised to help him through the whole thing. They started the operation. But once Cress began, he saw that the roots were tangled up with Charlotte's nerves. Goldrun warned him that if those nerves were cut, Charlotte's face would be ruined. Still, he said the roots had to be removed completely, or the disease wouldn't go away. Cress didn't know what to do. He was unsure if it was the right call. But Goldrun pushed him, saying if he didn't remove everything, it would be his fault. Then he blamed Cress in front of Fennel, pretending the mistake was all his. He said they had no choice but to take Charlotte to the Royal Hospital and use health transfer magic. But Zenith stepped in and said it wasn't necessary. He calmly told them he could just reconnect the damaged nerves, and he did it in an instant. The surgery was a total success. Later, Charlotte woke up and realized the growth was completely gone. Fennel smiled and praised Goldrun for doing a perfect job. He promised to support him in the upcoming director election. But Charlotte remembered hearing Zenith's voice during the surgery and asked her father who he was. Zenith returned to the hospital, where he helped Human carry Becker's medicines to the storage room. Becker thanked him and asked if the operation went well. Cress showed up and told Zenith that they were invited to Goldrun's special dinner party. Becker was shocked and impressed. This was the first time Goldrun had ever invited someone new to his lab to a party. He told Zenith his mission was almost complete. That evening, everyone gathered for the dinner. Goldrun announced that Director Shelber would be retiring next month, and the election to choose the new director was coming soon. He told his guests that their group was the biggest faction in the hospital, and now that Fennel was backing them, he was confident he'd win. Lily noticed Cress didn't bring a date, and wondered if it was because no girls liked him. She thought maybe he invited humans since he was always bothering her. But Cress said he didn't need anyone else as long as Zenith was there. Goldrun told everyone at the party to be proud because he personally picked them as part of his inner circle. Zenith quietly moved around and began asking about Fried, the missing researcher. He found out that Fried disappeared after taking care of Bon, who had gotten drunk at a past party. So Zenith approached Bon and asked him if he remembered anything. Bon said he liked Fried because he was the only one who talked to him. He also revealed that Goldrun told everyone else not to talk to him. Bon didn't mind because Goldrun helped him live an easy life. Lily asked how Bon met Goldrun, but Bon told her to leave him alone. Zenith figured they wouldn't get anything else out of him. But Lily had an idea. She would get Bon drunk. She poured him drinks and listened as he started talking. Zenith asked her what she was doing, and she said it was a trick Camilla had taught her. Men often talk too much when drinking with a girl. Zenith brought up Fried again, and Bon started remembering. He said they had gone outside while he was drunk. Bon spilled his drink and suddenly started mumbling that Zenith was Goldrun and that he was finally becoming a noble, all because of what happened 13 years ago. Zenith asked about that, and Bon said it was the day of an explosion that changed everything. Thanks to Fennel's support, Bon had become a professor. But before he could say more, he passed out. Zenith and the others returned to the mansion. Zenith said they needed to keep digging. Just then, Camilla appeared and said she knew the truth. Meanwhile, back in the slums, the leaders were waiting for Zenas. A man ran in with bad news. Zahn had been in an accident and needed medical help. Sophia didn't want to ruin Zenas' undercover mission, but the others insisted only Zenas could save Zahn. So she agreed and went to find him. She said they'd pay him double his normal fee. Back with Camilla, she explained that Goldran used to be just a normal researcher. Everything changed after he saved a noble. But Camilla believed he didn't actually save the noble, it was someone else. She guessed that another healer helped the noble, but Goldran took all the credit. She also said that Bond probably saw what really happened. That's why Goldran didn't want anyone talking to him. She believed Bond told Fried the truth, which might explain why Fried vanished. Maybe he was scared Bond would remember and talk. Cress walked in and said he wanted to introduce Camilla to some VIPs so she could have a better future. After she left, Zenas shared his own theory. Maybe Goldran used health transfer magic to sacrifice other patients in order to save the noble. Camilla asked if that was a crime. Zenas said no, it was called triage, and technically, it wasn't illegal. But if Fried survived and knew the truth, maybe he was planning revenge on Goldran. Camilla asked what Zenas planned to do. He said it wasn't his job to judge anyone, he just reported to Becker. Zenas went back to the party, but Yuman was standing outside. She told the guards she needed to speak to Zenas, but they refused to let her in without an invitation. Just then, the slum leaders arrived. Goldran saw them and ordered his guards to remove them. He said demi-humans weren't allowed at his mansion. But Linga knocked the guards out. Loie rushed over and told Zenas that Zahn needed his help. Sophia apologized for showing up like this but said she truly believed Zenas was the only one who could save him. She begged him to help. Goldran was furious. He said Zenas was throwing away his future just to help poor, dirty demi-humans. But Zenas calmly replied that he was a healer, and helping people was his job. He left the party with Lily by his side. Cress couldn't believe what he just saw. He remembered how Zenas had saved people in the past, and he realized that he didn't want to follow Goldran anymore, he wanted to be a real healer. So, Cress announced that he was leaving Goldran's faction. He told Zenas to wait for him, he wanted to help too. Zenas healed Zahn quickly, and Cress was shocked it was already done. He thought Zenas was crazy for giving up everything. Yuman said he was right but admitted she overheard everything. She was actually impressed and said he had a good heart. The next day, Zenas met Becker and shared everything they had learned. Becker believed Fried was involved in the explosion 13 years ago. Zenas said the party to celebrate Goldran's election was happening tomorrow. Becker said he would go himself, he believed Fried might show up for revenge. He also told Zenas his mission was now finished and promised to finally tell him about his master after the event. Yuman said they'd throw a farewell party for him too. That night, Cress was drinking alone in his room. He already knew about Zenas' past but didn't want to see him leave. Meanwhile, Zenas revealed that Lily wasn't really his sister. She said she was actually his wife, but Zenas told her that wasn't true. Cress looked up and saw a ghost behind them. He realized it was Camilla and freaked out. Zenas asked why Camilla revealed herself, and she said it was because Cress drank her wine. Yuman asked about Camilla, and Zenas told her she was harmless. Camilla jokingly said she'd curse Yuman if she didn't return her wine. After that, Zenas quietly told Camilla he didn't want to leave Yuman and Cress. He said they weren't like his old party members who treated him badly. But he admitted that he was used to saying goodbye. Camilla told him not to worry, he would meet people like them again in the future. The next morning, Zenas was getting ready to leave when Yuman told him that Becker left a letter for him. She said it had something important information about Zenas' master. As she looked through Becker's desk, she opened a cabinet and found an old photo. Zenas saw it and looked confused. At the same time, Goldran was throwing a big party with his supporters. He proudly told them he was guaranteed to become the next director. Lord Fennel agreed, saying Goldran deserved it after all, he saved his life 13 years ago. In a flashback, we see that Goldran was once a nobody, just a struggling researcher about to give up and go home. But then he saw a magic factory explode. He found Fennel lying injured. Realizing that Fennel was one of the 7 great nobles, Goldran thought he could change his life if he saved him. So Goldran used his health transfer magic to heal Fennel, but instead of using his own life force, he took it from the other victims. Bond witnessed this and snapped a photo of it. To keep Bond quiet, Goldran made him his personal secretary and let him live an easy life with no responsibilities. Back in the present, Becker handed Goldran a glass of wine to celebrate. He told him that Zenas had great talent, but he'd never become successful because he threw away his future just to heal poor people. Becker reminded him that not all lives are treated equally. Meanwhile, Zenas and Yuman were still looking at the old photo. They noticed something shocking. Fried was in the picture. That meant he survived the explosion from 13 years ago. But Yumin was even more surprised to see a woman in the photo. She recognized her. It was Becker's fiancée. Back at the party, Goldran got ready to give a speech. He asked everyone to raise their glasses and drink with him. But right after the toast, he suddenly collapsed. When he woke up, he found himself lying down, with Becker standing over him. Becker told him that he had poisoned everyone at the party. If they didn't get treatment within an hour, they would all die. Goldran's wine had a weaker dose, so he had 2 hours to live. Goldran asked why Becker was doing this. Becker said he was just recreating the events of 13 years ago. Zenas had been investigating the truth and gave him a lead. After Bond drank one of Becker's truth drugs, he finally talked, and that's how Becker found the photos from the explosion. Becker revealed that Goldran had sacrificed others to save Fennel. He also said that Fried and his fiancée were among the victims. Now, Goldran had to decide who to save at the party. Goldran asked if Becker had the antidote, but Becker drank his own wine and said he had poisoned himself too. If Goldran wanted the cure, he'd have to heal Becker first. Goldran hesitated. He didn't know if Becker was bluffing about having the antidote. He thought about sacrificing the other guests again, but Becker told him that his own body had the most energy in the room. He could use his own life force to save everyone. Becker told him, "If you think your life is worth more than your followers, prove it." Suddenly, Zenas and his group arrived. Yumin said she had a feeling something was wrong after seeing the old photos. She realized Becker poisoned the wine. Zenas asked why. Becker admitted he wanted revenge for his fiancée's death. Fried had told him years ago that Goldran was behind it, but then Fried disappeared. Becker had hoped that the truth would finally come out. He hired Zenas to find evidence. Kress understood his pain, but told him that poisoning everyone was going too far. Zenas said he didn't want Becker to get arrested for killing innocent people. He reminded him that Yumin would suffer the most if he was sent to prison. Becker said there was no way Zenas could heal the poisoned guests. He didn't even know what kind of poison was used. But Zenas said he didn't care. He began casting a basic healing spell on everyone. Becker thought it was pointless, but then he started to feel better. Zenas explained that the poison would slowly wear off, so he just needed to keep healing everyone until it was gone. Becker called him crazy. But Zenas' friends all helped too. They supported his spell and took care of the guests. Zenas told Becker, "Be grateful. We're fixing your mess." Becker couldn't believe Zenas had the strength to keep healing everyone for an entire hour. He thought back to how his fiancée had become a healer because she wanted to help people. Goldran had taken her life. But now he saw that Zenas and his friends carried on her dream. Becker thanked Zenas for saving everyone. But Zenas, completely drained, just said, "I want a bonus." Goldran begged to be healed. But the others refused. They remembered that Goldran had planned to sacrifice all of them to save himself. No one felt sorry for him. Zenas said he could still heal him, but only for a ridiculous price. Goldran agreed and promised to pay. Just then, Fennel stepped forward and told Goldran they needed to have a serious talk. Goldran knew his career and life were over. Later, Zenas visited Becker, who was now under investigation. Becker said he had been questioned, but he was surprised Zenas got permission to visit. Zenas said he had help from someone in the royal guard. Krishna entered and revealed it was her. She had used her authority to make the visit happen. Yumin guessed that maybe Becker hadn't really poisoned anyone. He confirmed it. His original plan was to just paralyze everyone using one of his drugs. He wanted Goldran to think they were dying and confess. But someone switched the chemical in the wine. Zenas guessed it was Fried. Becker agreed. He thought Fried came to the party to watch how things unfolded. But he still blamed himself. He knew the wine was poisoned and didn't stop the plan. Krishna told Yumin not to worry. As vice captain of the Knights, she could get Becker released. Yumin begged her to do it. As Zenas got ready to leave, Becker asked him again if he thought Fried had survived the incident 13 years ago. Zenas didn't believe it was possible. But Becker disagreed. He thought Fried was still out there and might be planning something. After Zenas left, Becker looked at the door and smiled. He knew that Zenas had only gotten involved because he wanted to protect Yumin. He could tell that Zenas was someone who wanted to save everyone even when it hurt. Meanwhile, the truth was revealed. It was actually the mysterious guide who poisoned the wine. He admitted that he only did it to see how Goldran would react. But once again, Zenas ruined his plan. We learned something more. Someone else is controlling the guide's body. That person is planning the next step. As Zenas packed up to leave, his friends were upset. No one at the party remembered him saving them because they were unconscious. He didn't get any credit. But Zenas just smiled. He said he got what he wanted. He left with Lily and returned to his clinic. There, he was reunited with the girls who were waiting for him. They were happy to see him again. Zenas got ready for his next patient, back to doing what he loved most, healing people. And that's where this video ends. Watch this following video and I'll see you in the next one.